With the digitation of sound, digital recording and consumer products like the CD became possible, and entire record albums were soon sliced into these tiny slivers of ones and zeros. Not long after that, the capacity and speed of home computers became sufficient to allow individuals to record, archive, and process music. All of this follows from Bell Labs' desire to improve the efficiency of their phone lines. Oh, hi there. I didn't see you guys came in. Welcome to Bitcoin Talk Show. We've got a guest today, JW Weatherman from MathBot. How's it going, JW?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on. This is going to be fun.
Well, it's very exciting for us to have a guest. It's hard to do these middle of the day shows. A lot of people have that work nonsense, so they can't just hang out and talk to people on Skype about Bitcoin. But fortunately, you've got a little bit of time and I've got a little bit of time. So let's go ahead and open up the phone lines. If you'd like to call us right now, you can call us on Skype at World Crypto Network. That's all one word. I'm going to type it into the chat, World Crypto Network. And I'll have to accept you, which should be fine. The interface is a little clumsy over remote desktop, but I'm getting better at it, I think, from yesterday. So go ahead and send us a call right now. Otherwise, I might read books to you, or we'll just talk about what's JW. What are you up to? What are you working on these days?
So today I recorded a draft of the Bitcoin Maximalist Manifesto.
That sounds great. That's right up our alleys here.
Yeah, totally. So I've been hearing the scam coiners more and more say, well, I'm a Bitcoin maximalist, and then they go into their spiel and their nonsense. So I thought now is probably as good a time as any to in a way update or at least make it more specific than the Crypto Anarchist Manifesto. Make it real Bitcoin.
It's funny because we didn't even have a name for Bitcoin maximalists in the beginning. Everyone just thought this way. We were like, yeah, Bitcoin's the best. Network effects works like this. TCP/IP, Facebook, these other ideas became platforms that people build upon. Bitcoin is the same way, but then all these altcoins and all this explosion, and everyone has their own bag, So.
Yeah. I was very conflicted about the term because I really do hate it. I feel like, if you were like in a movie theater and you're like, hey guys, there's a fire, we should all get out of here. And somebody's like, oh, well, you're just an escapist. It'd be like, what? No, I'm just saying that the building is on fire. If fire touches your skin, it's not good for you. We should get the hell out. But somebody just said Vitalik created it. Yeah, that also is also annoying because I want that guy to be forgot as soon as possible. So I don't really want to have a term.
We did have some questions in the chat, and we can go to those while we're waiting for people to call us on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. One of the questions in the chat, they were asking, I think, me, but we can ask you as well, JW. What do you think about Vitalik? Like at the very core, is he a crazy genius? Is he a crazy guy? Was he in the right place at the right time? What's your general impression of him?
So, I mean, it's obviously all before my time, but from what I've pieced together, it sounds like he was a con man before he got involved in Ethereum. He was doing some kind of quantum computer simulator, which is just, I mean, as soon as you hear that, you're just like, oh my gosh. So, and then from what I understand, he was like writing a bunch of articles and talked to Adam Back maybe about getting involved with Bitcoin in some way, and then realized that he could just launch his own crap coin, and that's what he did. And I don't know, it sounds like he's connected to some pretty shady characters in the background, but yeah, I just think he's like a 18, 19-year-old kid. He's just dumb like we all were at that age. But he's just like worshipped. So yeah, basically I think he's a con man, but just a young kid con man.
That seems fair enough. I have a slightly different opinion. I've been in this a long time. So I actually met Vitalik a couple of times. He seems like a really smart kid, but he's also one of those people where you meet them and they're like an alien. You can't get any read on them. You don't know if he hates you or he likes you. He's just this very impartial, focused on his work. So based upon that and based upon knowing some of the other people around it, I kind of think that he might have just been put up for this. He started out as a hobbyist. He wrote for Bitcoin Magazine. I think he believed in Bitcoin. He probably still does. These guys came along, offered him a really sweet deal to be a genius. So he said, sure, I'll be a genius. And then they made him a genius. and then the whole project, it almost exploded. It almost completely cratered. Then they saved it somehow at the last moment, and then it just went off. So I don't know who made it go off. I don't know who saved it. There's all kinds of questionable things in there, but I kind of see him as a figurehead overseeing the thing. He's a billionaire now. So that's an interesting thing for someone to be. But I agree with you. Recently, there's been really questionable contacts with the Russian government, the banks, the corporations, all these things. Ethereum's kind of their version of Bitcoin, not, cyber anarchist and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt, but he said stuff like, he used to be an Austrian before he realized there was more to economics than that. And that is like the ultimate red flag. Like, that's like saying I used to believe in addition. And then I realized, that was, there's more to math than addition. Like, no, like addition either works or it doesn't. So, and I think he's probably too informed to be able to not be an absolute liar when he says that. So I don't know.
On his economic stuff, I mean, I kind of see him as this computer focused kid where he just knows the code. And when we analyzed Ethereum and I thought about buying some in the crowd sale, sadly I didn't, or whatever, I didn't buy it, and I told people not to buy it. But we were very critical of the fact that you could print endless amounts of units. That made me, in comparison with Bitcoin, which is kind of a dream to have this limited number of units. And then also the obfuscation, the fact that you have to buy ether so that you can buy gas so that you can run smart contracts. That never made any sense to me. And it turns out years later, I've heard from people that was a legal defense. It was not a technical problem. It was they put in to have more layers so that it would be more legal. But I was always like, why can't you just buy the gas? Why don't they just sell the gas at ethereum.com for $10 a gas or whatever? And people that run smart contracts will buy gas. But then it became this whole investment thing and this value and this stock and this company and all that. So.
Yeah, complexity is like the best friend of any scammer, though. So if you can just make it multiple layers deep and make this big, I mean, the Federal Reserve is the ultimate example of that, right? Like this huge Rube Goldberg machine that nobody, even if you've studied economics for 20 years, you don't know what they're doing and they change the rules all the time. But that's the point. It's just this big.
It took me till college before they even told me how the banks print money and how you deposit in one account and it goes into another and another and another and all that. And that was, college level. But we've got a call. Let's see. Caller, you're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, my name is Haydar and I'm calling from Turkey, Istanbul.
All right, Turkey, Istanbul. Welcome to the World Crypto Network. What's on your mind about Bitcoin?
I think like I have one thing in my mind about Bitcoin is that I'm a little bit worried about the community of the Bitcoin because, in my opinion, the increasing the block size is not the ultimate solution, but people are taking that as an ultimate solution and shifting through Bitcoin Cash in lately. And I think it's absurd in my opinion.
Well, you're not going to find any disagreement here. I think we're pretty much anti-Bitcoin Cash maximalists, or whatever they're calling people like that now. But what do you think, JW? Has the community changed? Are people into this big block idea?
Yeah, I think that I think it's nearing the end of its scam life cycle. I think it had a moment where it was able to sucker a bunch of people, and I don't think it's totally over yet. I mean, obviously, the market cap is, or the market price isn't at zero now, but from what I understand, Jihan and these guys that backed this whole scam are just sitting on an incredible amount of this stuff, and if they tried to sell it, it would probably tank really hard. I think about that with guys like Vitalik too. Like, yeah, maybe he's a billionaire, but I don't know. I mean, you can be a billionaire with this crappy scam, but if his let's say sucker acquisition cost is high enough, and he's having to constantly do marketing and be really effective to get new idiots in to buy this stuff. And maybe he's got a healthy margin, right? On, maybe it costs him $100 to get a sucker and they buy $130 worth of Ethereum. Maybe it's much better. I don't know, but there's some equation that those guys know. And that doesn't necessarily imply that they could dump $1 billion of this stuff on the market and that scam would perpetuate. So I think it's run its course. I think they probably did okay, the guys that ran the scam. That would be my guess, but maybe it was even unprofitable.
Well, that's the Ethereum scam, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, they're the same thing to me, right? They're security vulnerable. They're scams based on, you know, security vulnerabilities or marketing that doesn't at all match the technical capabilities of the product. So
I agree. I think that both the Ethereum and the Bcash are an example of what money and marketing can do. There might not be a lot of community support beyond the get rich quickers and other people like that. But if you look at the actual product and you look what it actually does, and if anyone's using it, no one's using it,
Right.
especially with Bcash. We don't have a lot of usage there. They had a recent technical problem. I think they forked or hard forked to 32 megabyte blocks or something. It sounds absurd. I don't know the technical details. And then they've had transaction problems and other kinds of issues. So I agree with you. I hope that Bcash has run its course, but let's remember they've sunk so much money into this project. They might have to run it for a few more years just to try to get out little small pieces, like JW is saying. They couldn't just sell all their Bcash and say this was a mistake. They've got to sell slowly if they're ever going to get out of this hole that they've dug. And they might not even care. They might have so much money like Bitmain, $4 billion in profits, that it doesn't matter if you lost a couple $100 million on the Bcash scam. The other thing about Ethereum, when you mention it, JW, is that not only can Vitalik not sell to get his $1 billion, although I think he's got enough millions on his own, these companies, these ICOs that have raised so much money on paper would have to move their money out of Ethereum if they started losing faith in the project, which might be happening. So, I don't know. Caller, more on that? Sorry. Oh, we might have lost him. No, go ahead.
Me?
Yep. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you still concerned, or what have you seen that makes you think the community's changed? Have your friends gone to Bcash?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people changing their minds about Bcash. It's mainly because they don't see too much improvements on Bitcoin itself, but like they need to understand that it's slow going, but going with like firm steps. It doesn't take actions like Ethereum or Bitcoin Cash, like immediate actions, but they're careful and they're making it secure for all of us. Like that's the most important thing in my opinion. But about Ethereum, I'm not thinking exactly like you guys. I agree with not having a hard cap is a big issue financially, and it surely looks like a scam if you are here from the beginning. But in the other hand, it has a real use case. It can be used for something good, but it needs to be different than current states. It really needs to be a lot different than now.
So that I mean, just to play that back to you, it has a use case that it can't actually do, but it could maybe do that if it was rebuilt and something totally different.
Yeah, exactly. if there's another project like Ethereum with the same concept but different routes with different financial system, it could work very well for everyone.
Well, maybe the RSK project or another smart contracts project will come along and satisfy those needs. Going back to the Bcash, it's interesting to think about what people want from their money. Obviously, JW and I are more sound money guys, more cyberpunk security type money. We want to move slowly, so we understand what's going on. But to hear you describe your friends and some of the people that are switching over to Bcash, they just seem to want more and they want it faster and they're not patient. So I caution them with that, because people that aren't patient, it sometimes goes very badly for them. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but everyone should, hedge their bets, do 70-30, 50-50, split your money up, move it around.
You guys know about Simplicity, right? The project that I'm forgetting his name, but the Blockstream dude's working on to build a good smart contract language.
I don't think I've heard of it. It sounds like the Purism hardware, like trusted hardware simplicity. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it's basically the right way to build a programming language that's very security sensitive, right? So it takes a lot of time. You have to spend a long time proving out sort of the math in the background, and that's what. Actually, I'll look his name up because I've talked to him. I feel bad that I'm forgetting his name. Uh, but yeah, it's the right way to solve this problem, right? And so the pattern that I've seen, and I can go back and look at the history, it's pretty obvious, is that there's an idea, there's a problem. A lot of smart people work on that, on the most healthy open source community by far that exists in the space, and then some scammers come along and grab it, right? So it's not like the Bitcoin guys didn't want to do smart contracts. I mean, I think Nick Szabo invented the phrase smart contracts. And then Vitalik just grabbed it and he was like, oh, we'll just slap it together with JavaScript and a bunch of nonsense, and and then we'll market the heck out of it. That's all Ethereum was. But in the background, quietly, the Bitcoin guys have continued to trudge along. And just like with the scalability issue, now we have Lightning, and it's freaking an amazing design. We will, there's other projects in addition to Simplicity, but Simplicity is the one that I'm most familiar with. Eventually we'll have smart contracts on Bitcoin, and it's not going to be like 2 months, but it might be 2 years, and it'll still be plenty early enough because of the phase that we're in at adoption of this money anyway. Just like Lightning, we really don't need Lightning right now because we really don't need to do a lot of transactions on Bitcoin because it's not money until everybody is using it for savings, right? It's got to be like globally adopted, more or less. So Lightning works, but it's ahead of schedule, right? It's not behind schedule. Simplicity, I think, is ahead of schedule. It's not behind schedule either. And it'll, if it's not Simplicity, it'll be something else. But we will have a real smart contracting language on Bitcoin as soon as it's invented. RSK is just a hack, and it's probably an attack on Bitcoin to try to damage it, actually. But yeah, as soon as it's ready, we'll have it. Just like with confidential transactions, as soon as they're ready, we'll have it, because it's an open source project and we have the smartest people working on it.
And it might be everyone's going to call me a Bitcoin maximalist after this, but we might be in a strange period where Ethereum and all these other ICOs and altcoins have value, but they won't have that in the future. This might not last forever for them, whereas it seems like Bitcoin, with the way they're building the technology slowly, doing advanced things like layer 2 solutions instead of just doubling the block size for simplicity, is going to be successful in the long run. And I wonder about these other projects. We might look back on this and think about this as the great Ethereum bubble. I don't know.
I think so. I mean, to me, it's just marketing. There's no technology there at all. It's really just marketing.
I have an opinion about that. I think, like, for example, I'm living in Turkey, and things tend to get very different here, politically for the people. Like, sometimes there's some oppression about freedom of speech. There's some oppression about a bunch of things. Like, world needs immutable smart contract like solutions. Like Bitcoin, in my opinion, Bitcoin can't and shouldn't do that, because Bitcoin is for making money free, not making people free for sure, like in a large scale, because decentralized networks can't do that, in my opinion, all in by themselves. We need something like Ethereum, but like Ethereum has huge problems. Like, it is trying to solve a lot of problems by itself by doing a lot of wrong steps in the way. And for example, when they got the DAHEC problem, like they reversed the transactions and stuff, like, it shows that it's not immutable. So what's the point, right?
I think that's an excellent point. And we've even seen now Vitalik is trying to normalize the idea of rolling back the blockchain, to have some kind of a process where a company could apply and how much money they lost and is it worth doing, and the community could decide. And I forget the name right now, but there's another hack that they haven't rolled back the chain for yet, that they're still thinking about rolling back the chain. That was a very confusing issue. They obviously lost a lot of somebody's money and they had to get it back to them. So.
I'm curious why you think Bitcoin can't or shouldn't deal with smart contracts. Like the only smart contracts that really have been necessary or used have been things around like, creating a token, which is really, like you can do that with Counterparty. You can do that with a bunch of stuff. You just put some data in an opcode on Bitcoin and it works just fine. That's been Ethereum's big use case. And the only reason that seems to have even existed is that they just spent marketing money on it when the Bitcoin guys were just writing code. And then the other one is like a multi-sig wallet, right? And to my knowledge, I don't think there is, maybe there is now, I don't know, but I don't think there's even like a passable multi-sig wallet on Ethereum, which is the simplest smart contract. And that's been on Bitcoin for, quite a while now. So it seems to me that Bitcoin is already a much better smart contract platform than anything else. And that lead is going to continue to widen. How many contracts make sense where it doesn't involve money, right? Like most contracts involve money. So if Bitcoin is going to be money, then it would be great to have smart contracts be able to interact with that money in an immutable way. So I don't really follow the use case for Ethereum at all, even if it did work, which it doesn't.
This is the thing, like Bitcoin can do those things you mentioned, and it should do. That part is perfectly normal. Because like you need to be able to make automated payments for maybe employees and stuff, maybe even tokenize ICOs on the very secure network, which is Bitcoin. That can do, like Bitcoin can do that. But like storing huge data and making it work with another smart contract, I think it will tire up the network. And as we know, beginning of this year, we had huge transaction volume in Bitcoin, and the network couldn't handle it very well. Like it was very slow and very painful for like even the old users. Because
right, but what you're missing though, man, is that the reason you think smart contracts have to be really big and fat and stupid and all this stuff is because it was built by like these idiots that have no idea what they're doing, and they spent all their effort on marketing, and they didn't even have like one good guy, as far as I know, working on the project. But what's being worked on with Bitcoin is really smart in the sense that if you and I had a contract together and it resolved as expected, there wouldn't be any computation involved, right? It would just be like a simple payment. It would be as simple of a transaction between you and me as anything else on the Bitcoin network. And only if there's a conflict does it go through like all these other circumstances where we have to figure out who ends up getting the money in the end. And even that can be very, very efficient. So just like with Lightning, right, where you only have to actually do anything that's slightly intensive, like do close the channel or have a penalizing transaction if somebody tries to cheat. You can do that same thing with smart contracts.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I was more referring like projects like SIA or Steam, like more like those projects, not Ethereum. Ethereum is useful in some point for now, but it won't be useful forever when everything is hit the Bitcoin network. When every improvement hit Bitcoin network.
Also, I wanted to agree with you that blockchain bloat is a real potential problem. I don't know exactly the details, but they used to allow you to put more characters in the blockchain, and they switched that down to less. I know that Factom used to store some of their links or data in the blockchain, and other companies have often talked about doing this. If that really happened, that would be a problem. So they'd have to find a way to just put a link in there or put a small link in there, something small. JW, do you agree? Should the blockchain size be held back? Is it a problem yet?
No. I mean, everything's a problem in good engineering, right? Like the bridge is too heavy, it can't support enough cars, and it sways too much in the wind. And you just constantly work and refine what you're building. And that, I mean, ultimately, that's what I wish people would understand, is that Like for every competent person that's working on an altcoin, there's probably 100 competent people working on Bitcoin. And if an altcoin ever does anything that's useful, Bitcoin will copy it. It hasn't happened yet. And I don't think it ever will happen because that's not what they're in the business of, right? Like they're in the business of building crap and selling it to suckers and marketing it really effectively. And so there's no reason for Bitcoin to copy anything from them. But if they do accidentally do something useful, then it will be included in Bitcoin. And probably the bugs will be removed, right? So yeah, I mean, overall, it seems like kind of a pretty simple investment environment right now, even though you have to look through the marketing hype.
All right. Well, thanks so much for your call. Caller, give us a call anytime.
Thank you. Have a nice chat. I will be listening.
Very
Have
good.
fun, guys.
Right
That
on.
was awesome, man. Good to talk to you. I got to run. This was awesome. I'm so glad I was able to jump in kind of last minute and participate. This is cool stuff. So I will catch you guys later. I do have a work meeting, unfortunately.
All right.
I will listen later. So thanks a lot.
Good stuff. Thanks for joining us, JW. And people can check out your project at mathbot.com. It's software for children. They can learn math, and you can give them a little bit of Bitcoin as a reward. It sounds great.
Yep, and adults too, and you can learn programming. So if you're thinking about a career change or something, check it out.
That's what everybody wants to do now. They want to learn how to code. So thanks so much, JW. And caller, you're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Thomas, it's Jose calling from Mexico.
How's it going, man? Welcome back.
Thanks, Thomas. Yeah, we talked a few months ago, and I told you about my project to work on private key management.
Oh, yeah? How's that going?
It's great. It prevents the wrench attack.
Oh, yeah. So you can split up your private keys maybe into different pieces and put them in different secure storage, something like that?
Exactly. I took my 24 seed words, cut them in half. I have half, and then I sent half to my family. I sent it online through email and through Signal, because even if that gets hacked, somebody steals it, they 12, my 12, nobody knows. My 12 never touched the web, so they're secure.
Oh, that sounds great. And just for the people at home, what's the wrench attack? Why would that be a problem if I was holding on to some Bitcoin?
Because when you just hold your private keys, you're a single point of failure. Somebody comes up to you with a gun, they grab you, they say, "Give me your private keys." And maybe you have them memorized, which is something else I got to tell you about. But maybe you have them memorized, maybe you have them in your house. If you have them, you don't have them memorized, you have them in a bank or a safety deposit box, okay, you're going to slow down the attacker, but still you're a single point of failure. So I have a whole protocol developed with my family and friends, and I have to send them a message every day for a week with pictures and videos. And I told them, I'm here in Mexico. I told them, I could get people who know I'm into Bitcoin. They could, kidnap me and whatever. So be prepared,
It sounds like your family would like that anyway. If you sent them a message and pictures and photos every day, I think they just enjoy that.
Well, when I need my seeds, I have a protocol. Then I send them a message and they wait 7 days every day. So it's a whole protocol. It's all set up, organized. They know just what to do. And it's as of now, until I make my app and automate all these things, it's the super secure way to hold your coins, hold your keys.
Well, that sounds pretty good. Let's see if we have any questions for you from the chat. I can see them already. They're, what if you can't trust your family members? What if they run off with your money?
Yeah, well, they only have 12. They're not holding everything. This is what's so great about it. It's different from multi-sig, where 2 out of 3 of your family members can steal. This is better because you have half. They don't have it. I have half hidden locally. I live at the beach, so I have half hidden in the sand somewhere, half under a coconut tree, and nobody knows them. Nobody's so they steal half. Somebody hacks half. No problem.
This sounds great, man. You can go back to wearing your Bitcoin t-shirts in public now.
Exactly.
Well, very cool. And where can people learn more about it? And
I think you'll love.
You said you had a story about a brain wallet. Did a friend of yours try to memorize his code, and did it go badly?
Well, speaking of memorizing seeds, Thomas, I think you'll love this, and I'm surprised that you haven't even discovered this yet. Or you haven't said it. Do you memorize your private keys, Tom?
I'm afraid not.
You don't? Oh, I'm so surprised. Because when you do, if you put the words into a poem, like stanzas, like 1, 2, 3, apple, banana, monkey, yellow, blue, you 1, 2, 3.
Oh yeah, or you got to make a song or something. You got to have a way to keep it, in your head.
Yeah, if you like just look at it once a day, 1, 2, 3, apple, banana, monkey. These words are profound. Slowly, slowly, the meaning will arise, and it's Bitcoin. It's the power of the Bitcoin entropy in the universe is sending you a unique message. These words are unique for you.
You know what it says in the Bible? In the beginning, there was the Word.
Exactly. These are the Bitcoin words. I have my Trezor, the original one. I have the T too. But my Trezor original is where I generated the 20 words, which I also use for inheritance planning. I also have that all set up. So I have my original Trezor that generates the 24. And then afterwards, now it's wiped. So now I can just keep generating randomness, which is just kind of cool, right?
It's very cool. It's a neat idea that you could tell a little story with your 24 words and, tell it to your friends and tell it to everyone and just keep repeating it like Homer. And then someday when it's time to take the money out, you're like, oh, every third word was my key and boom, boom, it's time for money.
Thomas, I've been memorizing these words. I probably memorized over a dozen private key, 12 and 24, hundreds of them. And they're easy. You do it for a week, once a day. It's easy, no problem. Especially if you use this format. That's especially what I want to tell everybody. If you use this format of like stanzas, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then it's really easy. The meaning arises. I've been doing it for like a year, at least, probably 2 years max. Every time the meaning is profound.
I think it's great you found medium, but I still don't know if I could do it. I memorize a lot of things like movies and song lyrics and things like that. But when it really came down to it, when I had to decode my Bitcoin that were on a paper wallet from like 4 years ago, it was a really good thing I wrote it down somewhere. I thought, oh, of course I'll remember it. It's my Bitcoin. It's, this number and that number and this word. No, I lost it. It was 4 or 5 years. I had to, get them out to do the Bcash split or to move them around just to update my wallets. And yeah, I don't know. I have a backup. Memorize them, but have a backup. I don't know. Does that work for you?
For sure. I have paper backups too, for sure.
All right, good. As long as we're not completely relying on the memorization. Because
remember it. I think about it when just remember it, recite it like a prayer once a day. It's really easy to remember these things. It's really not hard.
I did meet some guys in Amsterdam. They were working on a really cool project where you would kind of think of an image in your brain, like a red baseball or something like that. And if you thought of that image, it would unlock your Bitcoin or it would unlock your computer. But they said one of the problems, and they thought this out a lot, they're like, what if you have a stroke? If you have a stroke, your brain doesn't work the same way. When you think of red baseball, it thinks of, blue football. So it was an interesting solution, and then it was not an interesting solution, and then it was kind of interesting again. So it's a little, but if you had, millions of dollars on your private key or whatever, you'd want to have it linked to a fancy brain scanner system like this. So
that's cool. And Thomas, like I mentioned, I also, with my protocol, and I also read an article about this, about inheritance planning. And so with my system I have developed, I also have my inheritance planning all dialed in. And, I have given some to charity and some to my family. And it's games such that the people that are giving it away to charity are also rewarded with inheritance. So, and it's really easy with my protocol. So
that sounds great, man.
People can check out how to prevent a wrench attack. It just keeps you safe. You don't want to be walking around and people, you can get all your Bitcoin stolen if somebody comes up to you and scares you,
Well, yeah, definitely send me a tweet about that and I'll retweet. Glad to spread the word about this. And a lot of people are focused on the inheritance side of this. I know there was a poll recently, and all the Bitcoiners agreed that they would never die. But for those of us who might not have that advantage, it is important to plan for your inheritance and to have some kind of a strategy. Pamela Morgan wrote a book about this, and she also says that even if you just write down on a piece of paper like a letter and sign it and say, this is what I want done, I have these accounts here, here, and here, this is the money, that can work. It doesn't have to be written by a lawyer to be an acceptable will. You can do a starter version on your own. So I suggest everyone do that and keep their keys secure.
Exactly. I've been meaning to get Pam's book and check that out too. And this also motivated me to finally write a will and spell out how I want my funeral and stuff like that. So it's good. It's not so hard to do.
Oh, you're ahead of me on that one. I used to get really nervous every time I went on an airplane and I'd write a little will, and I've stopped doing it lately because I fly a lot more. But yeah, it still stresses me out to think about that kind of stuff. But it's important to have some kind of a plan, even if it is a basic or a rudimentary one. What do they say? A good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow.
Hey, Thomas, I also wanted to say something that's really important, and I feel it all the time, and I got to send you guys some Bitcoin because you and the World Crypto Network, dude, you're like the foundation of the community. I mean, yeah, okay, Twitter. I've been moving, so I haven't been on Twitter so much lately. But all your World Crypto Network stuff, you guys are so important for the community, and I'm so thankful for all the content that you've made, and I love you guys so much. And I haven't sent you any Bitcoin, which is really, I'm just busy and this, and I don't have so much, and blah, blah, blah. Dude, I got to send you guys some Bitcoin because you guys are so awesome. I love you guys so much. I'd be so sad if you guys were gone. So I should support you. And I think everybody should. But who am I to say? Sorry. Just sorry. And thank you so much, Tom.
Oh, well, thank you so much for watching and for listening and talking about this. And, if you haven't donated yet, you could always wait till Bitcoin goes up in the future, or you could always wait till it goes down. Either of those are great times to donate. But yeah, we like talking about Bitcoin. We like doing this. I didn't have a real plan for this show today. I just did the little news wrap up, and I was like, well, I'll jump on and do a talk show, see if anybody wants to talk. And I think it's going really well so far. So
this is awesome. I love this format. It's really awesome. And Thomas, one last thing before I let you go. I let other people call. I'm sorry. I can talk forever. But I live at the beach. It's a beautiful place. There's lots of space, and there's so many fun things to do. You can go surf and ride horses and ATVs, and the food so good. It's Mexico. It's so nice. It's safe here. So seriously, you and everybody at the World Crypto Network are invited to come down here. I'll keep it where it is and all that stuff on the DL so we can be a secret. But you're more than welcome to come down anytime you want, Thomas.
That sounds great, man. I'd love to check out Mexico, and hanging on the beach sounds great. It's a good place to read books.
Thomas, mi casa es su casa. Mucho gracias por todos. Hasta pronto.
Hasta luego. Thanks so much. All right. Excellent call. Thanks so much for calling in. It's neat to hear from Mexico. And we also had the guy from Turkey. That was really cool. So we were just all over the world today. It's pretty great. So if you're out there and you'd like to chat with us, you could be anywhere as well. Even if you're at work, you could take a 5-second break or a 5-minute break, go outside, ask your question, and go ahead and contact us now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. We're going to go through the chat a little bit. Let's see. They say I've earned my place in heaven. That's good. I want to do good things. Speaking of heaven and good ideas and good shows, I like that show, My Name is Earl. You guys ever watch that show? He makes a list of all the bad things he's ever done, and then he goes about trying to do good things to make up for the bad things. And I know that's a simple idea, but I think more people should do that. That's how they'll get into heaven, is if they could do some good things for others. So they're saying, what's your address? Double rainbow all the way across the sky. They like the show. It's very cool. I thought Jeremy had a good question back here. I don't know if I can find it, but he said something like, do we owe something to these people investing in scam coins? Should we try harder to have protected the BitConnect people? Do we owe it if you think Ethereum's a scam, to tell your friends or whatever. And maybe that's a bad example, but whatever, Einsteinium or Joe Coin or Freddie Coin, whatever you want to say. Do we owe it to them? What do you guys think? I mean, I know part of this, it's a lot about personal responsibility. Be your own bank. A lot of people lose money. A lot of people lose their private keys. That's their own responsibility. If they invest in these scammy things, if they take extreme risks, they're going to have to deal with the extreme consequences, right? And a lot of people took these risks and they paid off. They made a lot of money on Ethereum. They made a lot of money on these other things. If they sell them, you know, if they hold them, who knows? They made a lot of money for a little while. But no, I don't know if we owe responsibility to these people. I'd like to help them. The BitConnect thing, some of these scams, they just come up so fast. I remember I'd kind of heard about BitConnect, and then there was some confusion because Bitcoin Cash changed their symbol to BCC, which everyone already knew was BitConnect. And then I heard it was a scam, and then I heard it was a Ponzi scheme, and then it really became a Ponzi scheme and a scam, and everybody lost all their money. So that was unfortunate. But again, it just happened so fast. And then other ones like OneCoin, everybody I know in crypto screamed about OneCoin, how terrible it is, and how what a scam and how centralized. But the way that they marketed OneCoin was by doing these little meetups, and they had all the other marketing people come, and they said, "Hey, you're going to make $1,000 bucks. You're going to make 10,000." And my buddy made 60,000 since Christmas, and they had this fantastic phrase from Krista Rose and Junseth. They Bitcoin Uncensored guys, they went to one of these and did a undercover filming with like a pen cam or something. But the guy said this wonderful phrase. I'll never forget it. He said, "I know it in my knower." I know it in my knower that the price of OneCoin was going up. And of course, it collapsed as a Ponzi. And there was an old one called Paycoin. They used to say that there was a floor at $20 and that they would buy the pay coins at $20. And anyone knows that someone bigger will just come in and just rake your floor and just keep running it until you can't uphold it anymore. But they had all kinds of other problems as well. But they, at the time, to put the Ethereum idea into a comparison, it is possible that we're in some kind of crazy altcoin ICO bubble. I remember going to the Miami Bitcoin conference a few years ago when Paycoin was at its ultimate peak, and they just had tons of marketing money, and they had about 4 full-size booths at the convention, armed by people who would tell you how good Paycoin is and how hard the director was working on it and what a great project it was going to be. And that they had this thing at the meetup that night at the bar with the dancing girls and everything. But on the background of the wall, they'd put up the Paycoin logo. And they'd also put up the logo of the conference, the Miami Bitcoin conference, and they were playing Paycoin ads on the videotapes, and they looked really good. They were fully produced commercials with words on the screen, you know, "Have you ever thought," swoop, swoop, you know, words flying at you about how amazing Paycoin is. But what was so interesting is the Miami Bitcoin logo went out first. They paid a little bit of money, but the Paycoin guys paid even more. So it's funny to think about these scams. And at one point, they're accepted as a real thing. And the Miami Bitcoin guys thought it was okay to take their money and to put their logo on the screen and have a bunch of booths for they had a Paycoin loan booth. They had the Paycoin Paybase booth. I think both Tone and I have a whole bag full of swag from this. Paycoin t-shirts and Paycoin hats and pens and magnets. And it was just a really, really big and really well marketed, and all the graphics looked great. And if you didn't know any better, you'd think it was a real coin. And now people in the chat are saying, you know, what is Paycoin? Who is Paycoin? It's completely wiped. It's completely erased. They're saying Dash is Paycoin. Well, Dash used to be Darkcoin. So that's a funny thing. And Verge used to be Dogecoin Dark. So all these altcoins have been going on for a long time. And there was a whole thing about they showed you the old chart of Megacoin and Feathercoin and Purecoin and Earthcoin and Terracoin and all these excuse my language, kind of dog shit coins that we used to have running around. And all of them had declined horribly against Bitcoin. Even Litecoin, which is a relative success, and there's a lot of great points that people could have bought Litecoin and sold for more. But even Litecoin has diminished against Bitcoin over 5 years. So if you just wait long enough, yeah, they're mentioning Coinye in the chat. I remember Kanye. That was a fun one. He's a gay fish. He likes fish sticks. But it was super funny. They named a coin after Kanye West. They call it Coinye. I think originally it was Coinye West or something. It was too close to his name. It used his image. He sued them out of existence, but it still existed. They had a tip bot. You could send it around. It was kind of like Doge. It was a fun coin. Going back to the beginning of the show, we had some chat questions. I'll try to answer a couple of them. They asked what I thought about Doge, if my feelings had changed. I mean, remember, I've been in this a long time. I'm not bragging, just time and years go by. But when Doge first came out, a thought passed through my head and it said, maybe I should get rich on Doggy Coin. And I have these thoughts all the time, but I never listen to them. I never follow them up because the next thing to do would have been, putting like $2,000 or whatever I had all into Dogecoin, selling all my Bitcoin, getting all the Dogecoin, which probably would have worked. They had a huge bump. The price went crazy up. A lot of people were kind of rich on Dogecoin for a while there. Then just as a community, they had this kind of disastrous combination where these scammers were just attracted to Dogecoin. And there's this famous story of Moolah.io, which was kind of like a Coinbase, but for Dogecoin. And you could store your Dogecoin in there. And they ran off with all the Dogecoin, and the guy was accused of being a rapist, and he's bad to women and all kinds of things. And I think he went to jail. So he was one of the guys involved in Dogecoin. Then you had this other guy who ran a Dogecoin tip bot, and that was a good idea for a while until years later they were on the decline and they needed help to keep their business running. So they stole everybody's tips. It's a sad story, what happened on Dogecoin. They had such great spirit. And at the same time they had the spirit, it also seemed like a scam. It seemed like they were going around talking in their Doge language, trying to get people to buy Dogecoin, pumping it up, which we saw time and time again with every new altcoin. Every new altcoin was like that. Someone would convert to it, and then instead of talking in normal language, they'd talk in Doge, or they'd talk in Litecoin language, or they'd just come in pumping next, or whatever it is. There's always something new. So I think Dogecoin was fun. I feel bad for their community, the way they got hit and scammed. Definitely as Mad Bitcoins and as a news person, I like to cover Dogecoin. I think it's fun. I went to the Dogecoin convention years ago in San Francisco, and I've been invited to the one in Vancouver. And I am considering it because Dogecoin's fun. Dogecoiners are fun. It'll probably be a good time. So if you were in Vancouver, I'd give that a try. Also interesting with Doge to see their founder. I know Jackson. He's a good guy, but he's had a rough time with the Doge. And it's interesting, before I knew Jackson, I always thought that he just had a bunch of Doge and made a bunch of money and didn't have to worry. But as it turns out, he actually never bought any Doge, never held any Doge, and he's not really into, the idea of getting rich on crypto. Jackson just thought it was fun. It was kind of a joke for him. So that's what I think about Dogecoin. If you guys want to join the World Crypto Network and maybe be on one of these shows, you can send your email to Mad Bitcoins on Twitter @MadBitcoins. And you can then I'll add you to the Slack. And then once you're in the Slack, it's really about how much you want to volunteer or how much you want to do your own work. I would suggest that people create 10 of their own shows on their own channel, maybe do a show a week for 10 weeks, kind of show that you're serious about it. And then once, you've practiced a little and you got your chops ready and you're ready to go on the World Crypto Network, pretty much anyone can join and create shows. And if the shows are successful, we keep them. And if they're not successful, it's unfortunate, but we let those guys go back to their own channel. We had to do that not too long ago, and they're all good guys and they all kept doing their shows. It's just they weren't getting the kind of numbers and audience response that we wanted, and we weren't helping them, and it just wasn't working out. Other people have come and gone from the World Crypto Network. Andreas used to do videos with us, Chris Ellis, Tone Vase, Jimmy Song. People come and go. We're more of a platform. Anyone can come along and make some videos. We are user supported, so it does help a lot if you join our Patreon in the link below, or if you send us a little bit of Bitcoin. And if we had a patron, like a De Medici or a rich man who had bought Bitcoin, or heck, even Ethereum, I don't care, who wants to donate and support the channel, we would accept that. And mainly we would just make more shows. We just make shows. That's what we try to do. Today, I wanted to talk some Bitcoin with you guys. I thought I was going to have to read books for the whole hour. I didn't really have anything planned, but JW was able to hang out, and we had some great callers from Mexico and Turkey. Very interesting combination. But I'm excited to have it, excited to talk to the world about Bitcoin. Scott says he'd like to hear Andreas on the network. Well, you have to go back a little bit. Basically, his schedule is just so busy. He doesn't have time, and we do these shows in the Pacific time and kind of last minute sometimes too. But if you go back to the very early Bitcoin group episodes, he's there. He's on the Mt. Gox live chat. We had a live chat when the Mt. Gox crash happened when they went down. And I think he's on Bitcoin group number 100. He came back for that one. I'm trying to pump the show up to 200 so I can ask him back again. He's really good. He does make time for us, but he's just so busy and traveling so much. And I don't know, it's kind of a strange thing when your friends become famous, but he's a famous guy now. I still think of him as just a normal guy, just my friend. But he is famous and busy, and we appreciate any time he has for us. But that's going to be about it for today's Bitcoin talk show. So thanks so much for all the positive comments in the chat. We're not getting a lot of calls right now, so we're probably going to end the show. But we're going to try to do these more often. If you didn't call today and you'd like to call when we do the show again, you can go ahead and get set up with Skype, and you can add SKYPE WorldCryptoNetwork, all one word, as your friend, and I'll try to add you back, and that's the first step towards calling in. Other than that, I think that's about it. I'm going to say, go Knights. I had a rough one yesterday, didn't pull it off. Also, I'm rooting for the Warriors. They're kind of hard to root for. They're like the Yankees. They're an incredible team, but still go Warriors. They're from Oakland, from the Bay Area where I used to live. That's about it for Bitcoin Talk Show. I think there's a QR code or something that I'm supposed to show you so you could donate Bitcoin if you want. Oh, there it is. And so, yeah, if you have $10 or $5, that's always a great donation. If you want to join our Patreon at patreon.com/WCN, we have about 17 people. We're raising about $60 a month. It's a great way to just donate monthly. You don't have to look at it. It'll go to your credit card. You could do $5 a month, $10 a month. You decide. But thanks so much for everybody for watching. And we'll be back tomorrow, maybe about 25 hours from now, something close to that, at 1 p.m. Pacific time for the Bitcoin group. Should be a good one. We've got Samson Mao, Gabriel Devine, and Shem Booth Spain. And I'll be back with you again. Until next time, bye-bye. And I haven't seen Solo yet, so no spoilers. No spoilers.